Oh, yeah, we are all set up. We're live. We're going strong. All right. Uh, now I've been watching you for, well, shit. How long have I been going to the indie shows now? For 3, 4 years
Journey
now, at
Pro.
least.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing this?
My debut was September of 19,
Oh,
so 6 years, give or take. Obviously, COVID year was a little weird, but
yeah.
about six.
Hold on.
Oh, no, I
I'm,
gotta say though, yeah, uh, you and Bishop, one of the not only entertaining, but you guys are also two of the most talented young people I've seen.
I
Um,
appreciate it, man. I agree.
and humble, fucking humility out the
That's
ass.
usually what people think of when they think of Campbell Myers in the premiere. They're like, humble.
Oh yeah, humble, down to earth, respectful. I mean,
always using the tag ropes.
That's,
oh
hey,
yeah,
if I
yeah.
can die with one reputation, it's that I never didn't use the tag rope.
That's right.
Put it on my gravestone,
We're just gonna put the tag rope on your gravestone. That's what we're
as
gonna
you
do.
should.
And Bishop will be holding on to it onto the
Yeah,
other
that's right.
one. So I had shit. I had another question and it fucking. So this weekend we got Fountain City Pro coming up, and you've been wrestling with them since their inception, right? On and off,
Kind of. You can put
but
it that way. Unfortunately, you're right. We do have Fountain City this weekend. It's on our end seen more certainly as a chore than anything else. Um, they didn't want to book us on the first show. Wanted to talk about having a great tag team division, yet somehow left off not only the best tag team in the Midwest, potentially the states, and all the while they were 10 minutes away in their backyard. So that was slightly disrespectful on their end. Is what it is. So we had to kind of show up on our own, make our presence felt. And again, it's not because we felt like we were missing out on anything special. I would venture to say that Fountain City Pro is anything but special. It's another run of the mill indie ran by a fucking Mark. Oh, can I cuss on here? I'm sorry. You can bleep that.
absolutely.
I can
You
cuss.
cut, you
Oh,
cuss
you
away.
open floodgates, dude. But yeah, it's anything but special. Just another mark that figured out all you have to do is rent a ring and a venue and you'll be all right. So it's more of a chore though because, like I said in the past, Bishop and I are kind of on a excursion of sorts to cleanse the professional wrestling business of bad tag team wrestling. And believe me, brother, there's a lot of it. And so anytime a show wants to stop in our backyard, it almost holds a special place in our heart to think, man, we ventured into other countries on this expedition. Who would we be as human beings to not stop here in our own hometown to make sure that all bad tag team wrestling is put into the coffin and 6 feet under? So we had to show up, make our presence felt, and again, show up again after that and pick up a tag team victory just to make sure that we're doing our duties as citizens of Kansas City to make sure that there's only good tag team wrestling going on. So we're making sure we're following the rules, grabbing the tag rope, the whole nine.
I can see that you guys are being like you're like the Doge of tag team wrestling. You're cutting out all the wasteful.
Let's not get carried away here. I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, neither would we.
I wouldn't go that far, but I would certainly say that we are cutting the waste from Kansas City professional wrestling. So I guess if you put the period at the end of that sentence, we can get that far.
But yeah, somebody's coming into your backyard. You got to show them what's up. You got to say no. You want the best. You want the. And
Hey,
if you're not going to
more
put
wrestling
the
in
best
the
on,
city, the
then
better. But there is a tax that needs to be paid, and certainly the tag team tax needs to be paid with the premiere. So,
all right. I can respect that.
I'm a man that has morals. I stand for something.
You have your standards. You have your rule book, and
Exactly.
yeah.
Why just do it the way I do?
Everybody might not agree with it, but you do follow your rules.
Exactly. You can say I'm a lot of things, but you can't say I don't stand for anything.
So you have Logan and see, I can't even remember their names. Stormy, and Logan. Is there one? Is there one that you're gonna be like, hey Bishop, I got this one, you got this one? Are you just gonna beat them both up?
Well, so that's another issue entirely because some tag teams do operate that way. And to me, that makes them a pairing, I guess you could say. But I think maybe calling some of these teams a tag team is a little too generous. We don't ever approach a match by going, you take this guy, I'll take this guy. It's not two singles matches. It's not two
Right.
solo fights. Me and Bishop operate as one unit, as the premier. And that's what makes it special because I think somewhere along the line in this fine sport that I do love so much, tag team started getting thrown around as just any two guys that wanted to high five each other in the middle of a match and not necessarily a team that operates as one unit like Bishop and I do. So, no, to answer your question, we will not be splitting off. There's not a you take them, I'll take them approach to this. Quite frankly, I would have to care about them a little bit more to use the word despise, but I certainly dislike both Stormy and Logan an equal amount. So it certainly makes that whole approach as one unit far easier whenever that's the case. So yeah, that's where our head is at going into this Friday for sure.
Excellent. So I know you're a coffee connoisseur. Are there certain promotions where you are like, you know what, I'm going to have this with this promotion, this with this promotion? Is there one that gets you more amped up for a promotion, or is it just whatever you're feeling that day?
I wouldn't say per promotion basis, but I would say
Or per city, maybe.
Yeah, so city is what it really comes down to. And I've kind of mastered the art of finding some of the best coffee in each city. There's a whole process I go through. You can ask Bishop when we're on the road. I'm like doing analytical data research to make sure I find us the best spot. I have my spots picked out. I would certainly say anytime we get a drive through Davenport, which obviously I lived there for a summer when I trained, but that is by far best coffee shop in the game right now. It's 392 Cafe. They have the most dialed in espresso. They have the best food options. It's the best one-stop shop for everything that I'm looking for when it comes to a coffee shop. So a lot of times if we go to Milwaukee, if we go to Chicago, we do have to drive through Davenport. And so anything in that realm will win in that regard because I guess off 392. Now, Minnesota has some good spots. Wild Grind Coffee in Minnesota is really cool. Also, a spot called Spy House that actually me and Kenny Alfonso went to. So Minnesota's good. I've got my St. Louis spots just because like that's almost a gimme with how close it is and how often we have to travel through there for just about anything. It's kind of our gateway to the east. So anytime we have a booking east of here, we have to go through St. Louis. So Blueprint Coffee's our number one there, and then there's another one called Sump that's very good. So I'm a guy that like anytime I try out a new shop, I'm not really gonna try anything that's flavored. I usually don't drink flavored anyways, like a latte or anything like that, because I like to try the coffee for what it is. But especially if I'm trying a new shop. So like at those places, I'm usually going to get like a shot of espresso and like a cortado, so I can try it with or without milk. But because of that, I have to be extra picky because a lot of these coffee shops nowadays can kind of pop up and disguise themselves as good coffee as long as their customer base is mostly just people that are going to get a nice vanilla latte. So nothing wrong with that. But again, I have to be a little bit more picky with where I get my coffee because I drink it straight up as espresso. So there's an art to it. There's a science to it. I make a lot of coffee at my house, so that makes me extra snobby because I know what I like. But Kansas City's got its own good spots as well. So I'm thinking before this Friday show, it's local, so I kind of get the pick of the mill of my favorite local spots. There's a new spot downtown called Good Karma. It's a black-owned coffee shop that is very good inside of the Black Pantry. So I'm thinking either that or like a tried and true, like Oddly Correct Messenger situation there. Those are both staples of Kansas City coffee. So I am your man. Anytime you're traveling, if you need coffee. Brian J., I'm hearing rumblings and rumors that you might be going to Salem this summer. If that's the case, I've got your coffee spot in Salem too. I spent a week out there and figured out where the best is. So, yes, that was a long answer for a short question.
A week.
You said what?
No, you're good. You did spend a week out there then.
I did, yes. I was out there for, well, it was, I guess, a long weekend. I think we got in on a Thursday and left on like a Monday or a Tuesday.
Okay. And you can probably attest the time of year you went, that's not enough time.
No, not at all. It was. I felt like there's not any way that we could have managed our time better per se. I think we
Sure.
made the most out of the like 4 or 5 days we were there, but we were there in the prime like middle of August, spooky season.
Yep.
By the way, that's my favorite time of year, regardless of where I'm at. So certainly in Salem, Massachusetts. But that was also kind of the point. It was like a big friend group of ours. We all went out there together, and but yeah, I mean, I wanted to be there. I was not ready to leave. I wanted to go do other stuff. There was a lot of stuff on my checklist I didn't get to do. I didn't get to see Max's house from it's Max from Hocus
Yep.
Pocus. I didn't get
Yep.
to see that. That was like one of the bigger ones that I wanted to do. But in that same regard, I think it was an unfair ask to assume that we would be able to do all the stuff I wanted to do. I've been dreaming of going to Salem for a while. So, no, I think we made the most out of our time there, but I'm certainly already looking to go back.
That's awesome. Yep. We do have plans for that. We book generally middle of January, but we don't go during the busy season just for the fact that, I mean, it's a little over $2,000 and
Yeah.
we're staying from a Saturday to a Saturday.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good.
So, I mean, and it's the off season. We'll get to see whatever we want. The lines for restaurants aren't long.
Yeah, I was about to say you won't have to wait in the lines. That's what killed us.
No,
The lines.
It's and the weather. Like when it's 105 degrees here with humidity, we've been there this will be our fourth time.
Mm.
There's been 3 days when it has been above 80 degrees there.
Oh, wow.
Because it hovers right around 78.
It just hangs out there, huh?
Yeah. If you get hot, you walk down by the beach or by the pier.
Wow. Yeah, we didn't even really venture out of the downtown district. So we did the big fair that they have in the square there off to the side in that park. We did a lot of the downtown stuff. We did a walking ghost tour. So like we did quite a bit, but it really all was in that one sector of the town. So
well, the next time you go, you and I are going to have a sit down. You'll have to come over.
Yeah, definitely.
And you and my wife and I will sit down and
Matt had the non-downtown stuff to do.
Well, and even then, there's so much downtown that you don't even like realize.
Right.
And there is some outer reach stuff that you can do, but in the summertime, like I'm sure you couldn't do it because middle of October they don't do it as much. But there's like 3 different companies that are taxis just for Salem, and they will take you from like downtown Salem to the Salem Willows, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's sick.
For $5.
Oh shit! Yeah, now you're speaking my language.
And it's not just like $5 for you. It's $5 for anyone. You could have 3 people and throw down $5 and they take you there.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I know. I'll have to do it in the summertime to get that experience, but there's also just something special about that time of year that's like my jam. So it's like to be in kind of the mecca of spooky season during spooky season is like there was something cool about that. So I will say I think my favorite memory of being there wasn't necessarily like any of the like specific tours we did or anything that we bought or any place that we ate. Actually, we went out. Well, we pre-gamed pretty heavily at our Airbnb first, so I was already feeling pretty good. And obviously, you guys see how I talk right now, 100% hydrated and sober. Can only imagine what kind of nut shit I was on. A few Jack and Dr. Peppers deep. 0 sugar, of course, trying to get jacked. But we found this awesome speakeasy downtown. Kept the ball rolling there. Continued to get inebriated, and then we moved to this other bar that stayed open later. We left that bar. I think I talked to you about this, Brian, but we left that bar, and half of our friend group was like, "Oh, we'll just get an Uber XL." Oh my God, it's so nice outside. It's only I think at that point it was like a 25-minute walk, 30-minute walk. So it's like we tried to convince the rest of the friend group. We're like, guys, we're only like 10 minutes from a walk from the Airbnb. We like completely cut the time in half, lied to them. We get a block over before they realize, like, you guys are full of shit. We're calling an Uber. So they do. And it was like a split in the road where it was like I think we had a 6-person group, and like 2 of them went that way, 2 I was going with went that way, and I was like, come on, like let's go. So my girlfriend tagged along with me. I was like, let's walk. Like it's only 25 minutes. Who gives a shit, really? I bet it's cool, dude. I bet it's cool is an understatement. We walked through just just the town of Salem, the houses. Obviously, it all looks a little different. Like we're from Kansas in the Midwest, but it was like these beautiful East Coast homes, and like it just looked like it was out of a movie. Just like fall leaves littered the brick roads of Salem. There was nobody out there. Just cool old style like street lanterns. Again, we were a little inebriated, so that just made it even more fun. And it was just like, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like of all things that was my favorite part. But it was like a 20-minute walk home. Like we took pictures just sitting in the middle of these brick roads and the whole night. It was honestly, it was very, very cool. And that was like one of our last nights there. So yeah, I think we just scratched the surface on Salem though. Like being there, I was like, I felt like we did a lot of the more commercial stuff. I feel like there's so much more that like to tap into there. So yes, I will be looking to book a second trip for sure.
We've gone out. The first time we went out for 4 nights, the second time 5, and then last time was 6. This time 7. So I mean, like each time it's bigger and bigger. But there's always stuff that we haven't seen that we do. Yep. And there's some stuff that we do every time.
Right.
And I'm trying. I want to get Pat and his wife to come up with us.
Got to.
It's like it. I mean, it, and not only that, it's like you probably didn't see it as much because of the time of year, but like if you go in the middle of summer and you want to dress up, if you dressed up like a giraffe, had the full outfit on,
yeah,
someone would stop and talk to you like it was no big deal, and then oh great, have a great day, and then just walk right off. And it's just like one of those places everybody pretty much.
Oh shit. No,
I think Pat.
I agree. I about spilled my water everywhere.
Tag team savant, camera idiot.
I know it. I'm back in though. We're locked. We're here. We're good. Just a minor mishap.
Yeah.
Yep. So you got any questions for him, Pat?
Well, I was staying quiet during the Salem talk because I've never been.
No, you're good.
So okay. So let's see. What other questions do we have? It's been a while since we've done this. Kind of a little rusty.
Yeah.
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 Oh shit! You're still waiting for me to do that. I thought that was my cue for you to take over for something, Brian. I can't think of anything. I fucked my shoulder up in December, so I'm still thinking about. I had physical therapy today. I'm out of work for a while, so I'm thinking about that right now. So I'm sorry if I'm a little out of it.
You're good.
So okay, the coffee thing now. When it comes to what is your favorite thing to get alongside with the coffee?
We talking like food?
Yeah.
So it used to be like avocado toast. It was like I'm just like the typical like Gen Z, like I need expensive coffee and avocado toast, like the little soy boy that I am. But that 392 Cafe I mentioned in Davenport, they have this brunch sandwich. So it's like turkey, egg, avocado, some mixed greens, couple different sauces. That's like my all-time favorite, like coffee shop food order.
That's good as hell.
Yeah, it's very good. So I've ventured more into like the actual like full like food now. I've kind of ventured away from like just toast, but like there's a coffee shop in my hometown. They've got good breakfast burritos. So if I'm going that route, I try to find some type of sandwich or burrito. But yeah, usually like when we're on the road, me and Bishop both try to like eat out of the lunchbox because we'll bring our own coolers or lunch boxes with meal preps and healthier snacks, protein bars, that kind of stuff. And
that too.
Not only for like the healthiness or like the health side of it, but also the financial aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as much as we're traveling, it's easy to rack up a bill not realizing it just by buying stupid little shit every time you stop to go to the bathroom. So we try and eat out of the lunchbox as much as we can. But like the one thing I will go out of my way for and venture out of my way for is the coffee. So, but like if I'm getting to here like 392, yeah, I'm usually looking for like a burrito or like that brunch sandwich is like my go-to. So, yep.
Now, how many weekends or a year are you guys on the road, or how often are you guys?
Ideally 52, but it doesn't always line up that way. So, if it was up to me, man, there's a point. I want to say this would have been the summer of like 2022. It felt like Bishop and I were like living out of our suitcases. It was like 2 to 3 shows a weekend, every weekend, and that was like the most fun I've had in wrestling. That's just like what it's all about. If it were up to me, it would be that all the time. Now, unfortunately, it's not up to me, at least some of it. So you have to deal with the ebbs and flows of wrestling. We're coming out of a really there's peaks and valleys, and we're coming up out of a valley right now. And everybody's kind of is in the wintertime, and I have to remind myself that. But full like transparency, our winter was so slow. I think up to this point we've only wrestled 4 or 5 times this year. It's been really slow, but the nicer the weather gets, usually the more people start running. Obviously our location isn't the greatest. As much as I love Kansas City, we've had a lot of people tell us that we'd probably benefit from like relocating. But on that same note, nobody really has made it up through the indies and made it into the big leagues and professional wrestling from Kansas City. I can't think of one. You would say a guy like Baron Corbin made it in WWE, but he kind of had a pipeline.
He was football first.
Yeah, he was an NFL guy, and so that's like my own little thing that I kind of keep on my shoulder. That I go, I knew that when I got into wrestling, nobody's made it out of here and made it up to the top, and like now I see why. I see what those struggles are. When St. Louis is as close as it is, and it's a hotbed, but to us, it's like St. Louis is close. They're only 3.5, 4 hours. Yeah. But to them, it's like, oh, yeah, they're close to us, but they're also close to Chicago, and they're also close to Iowa, and they're also close to Indiana. It's like all these places, they're more central to, and we're kind of like the last thing west before it turns desolate. I mean, you could argue like Denver, but really, it's kind of like Kansas City's that outer wall, really anything relevant. So that's like a whole soapbox that I just hopped on that I didn't need to.
No, you're fine. Well,
no, that's like kind of the outlook of it. Ideally, I would like to be booked every weekend. We've done it before, so I know we're capable of doing it again. It gets slow, it gets busy, it ebbs, it flows. But yeah, ideally 52 weeks.
I know the ebb and flow. I'm a stand-up comedian, so
yes, you definitely get it.
So you will have.
Go ahead.
6 weeks of shows, and then 12 weeks of nothing, and then 6 months of shows, and then So yeah,
and I think that's just entertainment. Anything on like that lower level in entertainment's going to be that way. Not that independent wrestling's on a low level, but in comparison to obviously like the big leagues. So I never realized, though. It's funny you say that. I never realized how hand in hand like stand-up comedy is to professional wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the travel, the business aspect of it until I've been very entrenched in Shane Gillis's podcast with Matt McCusker to the point where I've like backlogged their episodes from 8 years ago. And it's funny, obviously now both of those guys are far more successful, so it's not as entrenched with this kind of stuff. But those older episodes, man, when they were like had a little bit more of a bitterness to them because they were coming up in their local scenes, and it was like every week they would get on their podcast and talk about whatever they did that past weekend, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is almost identical to like our road stories, or like, we stayed, we showed up, did this show, and drove 10 hours, did another show, and got drunk that night, and stayed in a hotel, got up, drove home, and I leave again in 3 or 4 days, and it was like, oh yeah, man, like when we're doing rocking and rolling, that's kind of what our weekends look like too. So it was just funny, like listening to those stories and drawing that parallel, being like, oh wow, they're really living a very similar life.
Oh yeah, Well, and I remember one thing I noticed.
Go ahead, Brian.
No, go ahead.
Oh
no, you go ahead, Pat.
No, I was just saying. I remember because when I lived in Indiana, we were on the northern end of Indiana. We would drive down to Indy 2.5, 3 hours for a 5-minute spot.
Yep.
You drive back, and you're not getting paid, and then you're driving back. You're hitting Waffle House, and just so somebody in Indy could see you, and it works out because then you do that a few times, then you get that text message, hey, I got this spot open, 10
Yep.
minutes, 15 minutes. So,
And it's just a chain reaction from there. You just hope the right person sees you. And honestly, now too, with the way wrestling works, is even if you go to a show where there's not one person there, and I don't really believe that you ever do a show where there's not one person that can help you, but say you do a show that there's probably less of a population of guys that can really get you somewhere, you're still going to go because you go, well, maybe I get a clip from this match that I can post, and then that blows up. And I mean, it's the same. I watch comedians do it now, where they're doing a smaller room, but maybe they get a clip that goes viral on TikTok. And so I've just, like I said, I've really the last year been drawing those parallels, being like, damn, I should have been a comedian, dude. I wouldn't have to fucking bump all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's funny too, because like the way that I set the way that I do like a longer set, 10, 15, 20-minute set, it's like the way you set up a wrestling match. You start off with the strong, so to get people in, and then you carry them along, and then in the middle you go up, and then you carry them along, and then at the end, you blow them up with something, with your best joke or your best move.
Yeah, so, I've noticed that in entertainment in general. I remember when I was living in Davenport, we got free like entry to this Tech Nine concert, just because like some of Tech Nine's crew wanted to come through and see the gym, because like Seth Rollins has like his like belts displayed and everything, and so there's a couple guys on their crew that were like, oh, we can get all your boys in for free tonight if we can come like see the gym and stuff. So yeah, that's fine, I don't care. kind of ironic that like I was born and raised in Kansas City, and the first time I saw Tech Nine was in Davenport, Iowa. But I digress. We went there though, and this is like as we were wrapping up class, so like really fresh in my mind, like the structure of wrestling matches, the psychology of wrestling matches, what we had been learning. And it was like I just kind of like stopped at this concert. It was like fun and rowdy or whatever. I was having a good time, but I'm just kind of watching. I go, watched a couple of the openers. I go, there's like a structure to this, just like in wrestling. I think all entertainment forms have a lot more parallels than people realize.
Oh yeah,
there's a structure to this. Like the way he was like, just the crowd work and the structure to it all. I go, yeah, there's a lot more parallels here than even I realized. So that's one of my favorite things to watch and try and draw comparisons to, is just other entertainment avenues to wrestling.
I actually like if I do an entrance that has music, because 9 times out of 10 it doesn't. But if I actually try to emulate like what would a professional wrestler do when they come out, because you get the right entrance, you get the energy from here to here.
Yep.
And it just makes everything so much easier. Yeah.
That makes total sense.
But yeah, it's fun. Like it's fun hearing your viewpoint on it, because I've seen the parallels on that for.
So like I noticed.
Oh, go ahead, Brian.
Oh no, I was just going to say that I noticed real quick when we started the podcast. We started off with comedians, and the first couple there, they not only did they know the flow wrestling and comedy had, they were also wrestling fans. So
yeah,
I think a lot of them are.
Yeah,
and it's just mind blowing that so many avenues.
Yeah,
go back to wrestling.
Yeah, that Matt and Shane pod that I listen to, they'll have all sorts of other comedians on there as guests, and you can tell someone's a wrestling fan when they don't say up front like, oh, do you guys like watch wrestling or whatever. They'll just casually start slipping in references, and all these guys grew up and are wrestling fans currently. Like Dan Soder is a huge one. I like listening to Dan Soder a lot. He's like a huge wrestling fan. And then even Shane Gillis will just like make casual enough references where you're like, oh yeah, this guy like has consistently watched wrestling. And a lot of the guys on there do in some capacity. I kind of marked out the other day, there's an upcoming, I don't know if it would even be considered upcoming. I mean, I've known about him for a few years, but he is like one of the producers for Matt and Shane's Secret Pod. His name's Lemaire Lee. Just a goofy dude. I think he's like originally from Detroit, but he like met them in Philly. He like moved down to Texas when all the comedians moved down to Texas, and so that's where he stays. But he's like through me listening to their podcast, is like you pick up on the fact that like Lemaire is like the biggest wrestling fan in the world. It's like Shane will take him whenever he gets to go do like like whenever they go to SmackDown or go to AEW or whatever it may be, and Lemaire goes and just acts like a kid the whole time. He just loves it so much. Well, he posted his comedy dates the other day, and had it like edited like an old ECW tape and had like the ECW entrance theme on it.
Oh, cool.
Dude,
Nice.
that was hilarious. I like commented it. I was like, dude, using the ECW theme for this is actually crazy. And he followed me after that, and I like sent it to all the boys. I was like, dude, Lamise just followed me. I was like, Lamorp's up in here,
Nice.
dude. Let's go. So I was telling Cody Lane, wrestler from St. Louis, that also is a fan of the podcast. I was like, yo, we got to get down to Texas, dude. We got to go see what's up with Lemaire. So yeah, man, tons of parallels. Seems like there's a lot of wrestlers that are fans of comedians, and then vice versa as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think a lot of comedians are wrestling fans because a lot of comedians were bullied when we were younger,
Yeah.
and you gravitate to the wrestling because it's good guy versus bad, and the good guy always wins.
Yep.
So I think that's part of it because you know, speaking from experience, you needed that closure. You needed to know that the good guy won at some point because you know Tommy keeps taking your fucking lunch money, and you know, and, you know, when he's got 4 friends anytime you try to fight back. So,
Yep.
so yeah, I think that's why a lot of it, a lot of them are fans of it, and it's stupid fun entertainment.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think, like I said, I think at the end all be all, the middle of that Venn diagram is just being an entertainer and trying to make it in the entertainment world, which is already a bitch and a half as is. So, yep.
All right, what do you got, Brian?
So do you? I was going to say, you were talking earlier about, you know, your busiest time. You think is 2022. I noticed there wasn't a whole lot going on 2020. We all know that,
Yeah.
but there were shows going on, and it seems like to me, every time I open Twitter, the premiere was there doing something. Now, saying that, there were a couple of other guys in the premiere originally.
Yeah.
So Thomas Shire and Camaro Jackson.
Yep.
And yeah, so it seemed like the premiere was everywhere. And to be honest, not that COVID was a good thing, but I think during COVID is when you and Bishop kind of hit that, you know, we're a tag team, and then I don't know if you just got on the same page, it just all clicked. And then after that, like everything you guys were doing has been just gold.
Yeah, so there's a whole lore there that we can kind of explore in a nutshell. But so essentially, the premiere was an idea from Kenway. Kenway started the premiere. It was like him, Camaro, and Shire. And this is like before Camaro was doing a ton of stuff, and Shire has always been the man as long as I've known him. So it was kind of like a cool 3-man group. And it actually, of all places, it started at Paradigm Pro in, I think they run Indiana. They're kind of that Kentuckiana area, like right on the border.
Right.
But I think they're Indiana. So they start that at Paradigm. Then they said, well, we want a 4th guy. I was boys with them. Even when I was just training, I wasn't even having matches yet. I can presume only because I was like making the effort. Usually, if you can become friends with guys before you're even having matches, usually it's because like they see the effort getting put in. And I was making town, setting up rings, just trying to learn, train. Like I would train for like 15 minutes after we set up the Anarchy ring, just getting in whatever I could before the guys started getting their stuff put together. So, but regardless, that was like a 3-man group, and then they brought me in. So I drove out after class. I was in college at this time. So I remember I drove out to St. Louis after class, hopped in the car with them, drove to Paradigm. We get to Paradigm, and it's a pre-show spot, but essentially the story was I win the pre-show match, and they're watching it, quote-unquote, kind of recruiting. And so that's how I was brought into the premiere by winning this pre-show fuck-all 8-man scramble, which kind of looking back is insane because I'm pretty sure I pinned like one of the Bang Bros. So it's like all these guys that are like pretty prominent now and like doing shit now that matter. At least to me, because like I care about tag team wrestling. Like the Bang Bros are solid right now. They're doing a lot of cool shit. So it's just funny looking back. Like it was like before any of us really had decent gear. I was super guy. I wasn't even a year in. I mean, yeah, I think this is pre-COVID or like right before COVID. So this is probably like early 2020. So, anyways, that all happens. We take a bunch of pictures that night in our premiere shirts, whatever the fuck. Then they're like, "Oh yeah, this is gonna be a thing that we do at multiple promotions," and then like 01 was one of them. So again, like right before COVID, they were running in this fucking small ass building, and that's when me and Camaro won the tag titles at 01. Well, right after we won those, maybe a few weeks go by, and then COVID shuts the entire world down. I would assume it was like 3 or 4 weeks after we had won those tag
Right.
titles. So with that, we get kind of into the trenches of COVID, which nobody really knew how to navigate, obviously. And I think one of the things that helped us was like we never felt like this was like a long term thing. Like it always felt like COVID was just going to be relatively temporary. Even when the writing was on the wall, where like this could last multiple years, it was just like this can't last forever. Like this isn't how the world can't operate under this forever. So it just felt like, hey man, any day now. So we never really like got complacent. But anyways, when things got back to a point where shows were able to happen, I wouldn't say like we took some shelf, like there was some time off there. There were months where I didn't do shit. Tried to stay ready as much as I could, like running around my apartment complex doing like at home workouts. But like, dude, I think I had like one 20-pound dumbbell and a foam roller. Like I had nothing, so it was like I had to get kind of creative. But nonetheless, like finally, like matches start to kind of pop up again. Shows start to pop up. And Kenway at this point is like, I don't think it's best for me to be wrestling during this. I'm just going to go work full time. That's cool. Premiere never really like stopped being a thing. Shire kind of took some time off too. So Camaro kind of moved on up. And then they were like, well, Freebird rules. Like, what if we just bring somebody in to be a part of the premiere? Well, at this point, right before COVID, Bishop and I had like done one or two tag matches. And we were going to call ourselves the Sad Lads.
Yep. Yep. Right. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Mm, definitely. Right. Right. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It did. Mhm. Yep. Oh, yeah. Right. Mhm. Oh, yeah. Yep. 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 So, speaking of hustle, I'm not I'm not saying I hustle, but seen me at shows from Journey Pro. I was at the first Anarchy show coming back from, NWL days setting up. So when Journey Pro started, I started with them. Then, CSW, well, DWF, CSW, Fountain City, everywhere. Um, so right before the last Fountain City show, the Thursday before the show, and, I didn't know that Pat was gonna be there. I thought he might make it out. I didn't know he was gonna be there. But Thursday, I get a text from Nick Chin at 4 o'clock. He's like, "Do you have your ref gear?" Yeah, it was just words, but he's like, "Do you have your ref gear?" And I was like, yeah, why?" I thought that there were no other available refs, and he was gonna have to be the Iron Man, and he's like, "Bring it." I was like, okay, but just to let you know, I trained 4 times, 3 times, 'cause I walked out the 4th time at that one place in, South Olathe, we'll say, not to, anyway, so I walked out of there and, I was like, "That's all the training I have." He's like, "You'll be fine." Okay. Get a text from him 30 minutes later. "Would you happen to have any kendo sticks?" I was like, "What? Yeah, I just keep kendo sticks around my house, Nick." "No, I don't." So I ended up, yeah, getting to the show. I'm setting up. Nick comes in about 2 o'clock. He's like, "Okay." He's like, "I'm glad you're here, and I'm gonna have you do a couple matches." I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Do you need me to?" Because he was having a street fight with Guthrie at the very first match. Come to find out there were 2 other refs there. He just wanted to give me time. And I was like, "Okay, I'll do one." So I did a four-person scramble. Langley was in there. He's like, "Don't worry, Luke will take care of you." I was like, "Oh, I know he will." But he's, like, trying to put me on these other matches, and I'm like, "Nick, how about I just do one?" Okay. Yes, I do wanna I would like some more training, but I wanna do one. So I did ref and I'm not saying I did a great job, but, like, I walk out, and then I look over, and Pat is sitting next to, Jeremy from Guy's Chips, and Pat's face was just like like, so that was right before intermission. I came out, and he's like, "I didn't know you were reffing." I was like, "I didn't either." It just sort of happened, you know? Um, but it was he's looking low. Yeah. Eh, uh-huh. Like, yep. Hey, I've I've done it once, checked it off my bucket list. But I'm not gonna wrestle. I've already come to that conclusion. I'm too old for that shit. Um, I would like to, I would like to ring announce once, but you but call to the ring. I'm I'll be honest, I would do commentary, but I don't think, our buddy Hartzell would let me get a word in. I love the guy, but he's not gonna let me get a word in. Uh, well, yeah. So, this Friday, um, you and I are gonna have to do some more talking about Salem, but, and hopefully, yeah, for sure. So you want me to I know Stormy Renee, yep, and Logan, yep. I mean, look, Pat, Hoodie Howlett just retired. Their biggest rivals, the Premier, put him out of business. He's scared of you. Yeah, I know. So, I I was gonna mention this earlier. Uh, the first DWF show, the Premier was supposed to take on 2 guys from Detroit. I'm not gonna use their names because they didn't show. Strider is talking, kinda pre-show. This is early on when we're setting up. "Hey, I haven't heard from these guys." I was like, "Man." It'll be all right." And but you know how I am. "Yeah, it'll be all right, we'll get through it." Later on, I was like, "Man," he specifically was coming over to me, we were talking. I was like, "You heard from him yet?" "No." I was like, "Well, the Howletts live here." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I think I might call them." Later on, comes to me about 2:30, comes over to me. I was like, "Hey, did you get it? Did you hear from him yet?" And he's like, "No, I got the Howletts coming in." So, just from that standpoint of them bringing in the Howletts and you guys didn't know you were wrestling the Howletts when you were first booked, and to see what happened from that very first night all the way for God, that was over a year. That was about 14 months worth of story. I would say for not knowing until that day, that was probably one of my top that's got of all wrestling, that's probably my top 5 storylines ever. And I've watched from long, long time. Right, right. Well, I mean, hold on a second. You say, there's a conspiracy against you, but do you actually think that any other tag team would have really, uh, stuck around and cared about beating the Howlets like you guys did? I mean, obviously, Strider saw something in you guys that he wanted this matchup. I mean, yeah, yeah, sure, and you did. That is. Sure, sure. Alright, I got you. Do you think that, Josh and Chase at Fountain City have a conspiracy against you? I mean, Yep, yep. Could I could understand that. Yep, yep. So so I do have a question, though, about another man in Colorado. About another man in Colorado. A dapper guy, Mr., Dak Draper. So I'm great friend of yours, I know. Um, he and yourself have the mustaches going. Was this a planned thing between you 2, or was this just a, "Hey, I'm gonna do this," and then the other is like, "Hey, I'm gonna do this," and then same wavelength? Is this I'm just okay, okay. Right. No. Sure, sure, sure. Excellent. Now will we ever see a ponytailed Campbell Myers again? A bun. Sure, sure. Yeah, Sure. Yep. Yep. I too am a short-haired man, mostly by and it's mostly, not my choice, but we'll take it. It is. Genetics. I think I'm gonna have to because I am gonna soon be rocking I soon am going to be rocking the Mighty Micah haircut. Yeah, yeah, yep. Right. Yep. Yes, sir. I did not. I did not. This is a surprise because I know this is a surprise because I know Campbell has good taste in music. This playlist has yeah? Oh, I don't think so. I am not a country music listener. I could say that. Yeah, yeah, you know. Sure. I am on the clock, let's see, shit. You're gonna have to come back to me. It's gonna be a minute, I have to Okay, okay. I do have one. So mine is going back to early '90s country. we'll do Marty Stewart. The whiskey ain't working with with duet with Travis Tritt. See, I had the perfect song picked out, and then Campbell goes and does the country thing. I'm not gonna put 2 on there. We'll save it for later, but I will tell you, I was gonna go with, um, "Infected" by Spineshank. It's not. I think the Spineshank is actually not as it's not there's more singing in it than there is growling. I mean, there's a little bit, but not a ton. It's something that you and Campbell would listen to. You and, Bishop, you and we have heat, I know. I've got I've got heat with the mustache. Mustache man. Yes. Yep, sure. Old Alright. We're happy to see you too. Yes. And maybe after the ass whooping Friday, we can have you and Campbell or you and Bishop come back. You know what? I haven't had my whiskey tonight. That's what it's gotta be it. Just saying. I think it is. I think it is. I'm reading your name right on here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have to take notes.